Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all of you superstars, depending on what part of the country you are calling in from. This is Coach Jerry, live and in person, and I want to welcome you to this month's Brick Call. I want to first of all congratulate each and every one of you that have earned the call this month by doing your $2,500 building block. That is the essence and the beginning of your business building explosion. And I want to congratulate those of you that have earned this call this month. We're going to do another one next month. So if you go out and repeat the process again in October, you will be able to earn a spot on our call next month as well. So that's going to be really, really exciting. So I was really thinking a lot about what I wanted to talk about, and I, asked many of your VPs to share some ideas on things that they like to hear. And so after I've, taken everything into account, I decided that what I want to talk about today is, to me, such an important topic as we enter this last quarter of the year. And so the title of our conversation today is going to be Building and Creating Explosive Momentum. Building and creating explosive momentum. Now, there are some things that we need to do in order to create momentum, but there are things that we also have to stop doing if we want to create momentum. And so on the call today, we're going to do a little bit of both. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we have to stop doing if we're going to create momentum. And then we're going to talk about some of the things that we've got to start doing if we want to create momentum. Because there's just a few things that I know from coaching for all these years and building my own network marketing business for so long. The last quarter of the year generally always seems to be the best quarter of the year. Especially in RBOB. You guys have the holiday line. You've got these challenges that are going on. You have a new AIT trip that's going to be launched in December, and you'll probably start a contest December 1st. So there's a lot of exciting things going on at the end of the year. And I've always believed this, and I've always taught this, that one of the most challenging things to create in a business of this nature is momentum. And you say, well, why is it challenging? Well, it's challenging because you need people to be working with you to create momentum, a good, solid momentum. But I also believe that momentum is the fastest and easiest thing that you can lose in this business. I mean, you can blink your eye and the momentum that you built is gone. And so it's really important as we're creating and building momentum for explosive growth that we really discuss how do we do that correctly and how do we do it in a way that we can sustain that momentous growth. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about today is consistency is what creates momentum. Consistency is what creates momentum. You will never build a consistency in your business or a momentum in your business if you're not consistent in the things that you need to do on a regular basis. When you look at people today in the business that are just blowing and going, moving and shaking, things are rocking. I promise you that they've got consistency going on in their business. But the people that are not in that place, I can also guarantee you they're probably not as consistent as the people who are. So the first thing you have to understand is consistency is what creates momentum. And so I want to talk to you about, I forgot how I numbered these, but I think six or seven ideas on how to create and build explosive momentum. Now, I'm going to be real honest with all of you, as I usually am. When I go through this list, none of these things are going to probably be new to any of you. It's not going to be the first time you've probably heard this. But I believe that sometimes we can hear things many times and still not really get it into our mind so that we can apply it. But, there's times in our business where you hear something for the third, fourth, fifth time, but your mind is in a different place and you actually finally receive that. And I'm hoping today that for many of you on this call, that's going to be the place that you're going to be in. The great coach John Wooden always says the great coaches always remind their players of things that they already know. And so these are not going to be things that none of you have never heard before, but I'm hoping that you'll hear them in a different way today. I hope that your mindset will be in a different place so you won't only listen to what I'm saying, you'll hear what I'm saying, and then you'll take what we're learning today and start applying it to your business so that you can start creating and building that explosive momentum that I know all of you want. So we're going to go through these things. This is in no particular order. I just jotted them down this morning in the manner that it came to me. So we're just going to go through these. So number one that I want to talk to you about is we've got to stop making excuses. I hear people all the time that make these great excuses. And I know to them it's a justifiable reason of why they can't do something. And I believe that in life, there are times in our life that there are things that happen in our lives that are reasons for why we have to maybe take our eye off the ball for a little bit. Maybe there's a death in the family, or maybe, our kids, had an accident or something like that. That's a reason. If you say, hey, listen, I need to just go deal with my son or deal with my family member. Okay, well, that's a reason because life happens to all of us. But what I'm talking about are the excuses that we make and the excuses that we hide behind so that we don't have to do the things that we really need to do to build a business. And one of the things I always talk about is that you can make money or you can make excuses, but you'll never make both. And the biggest thing that can be a killer to you creating and building momentum are the excuses that we end up making. And we can go through a whole list of them, which we're not going to do on the call today. But there comes a time where your drive and your desire to win, to grow, to build a business, to be successful, to change the course of your family tree, your drive and desire to win has to be greater than the circumstances that you will find yourself in. And so many times what we all do is we use the circumstances that are going on in our life as an excuse for why we can't do our business. And if you've been around the world for any length of time, you know that most of our life we spend going into or coming out of some sort of challenge. And so if every time a circumstance comes up in your life, and that's the excuse for why you can't get your business going, well, then you're never going to get into momentum. And you're really never going to build a business big because when that circumstance is gone, I promise you there's another one waiting right behind it. And there's probably a whole lineup of them that are going to come into our life. And so in order for us to create and build momentum, we have to make our drive and desire to want to win much greater than the circumstances that we're in. But the reason that people have a challenge with building momentum is because they live that backwards. See, their circumstances that they're in are bigger to them than their drive and desire to win. And so they don't do anything, and they use it as an excuse, and they keep themselves stuck in a rut where they don't want to be. It's amazing to me, I talk to people all the time who will use the excuses for why they can't go to a meeting. They'll use an excuse for why they didn't do this, or why they're not going here, or why they're not making these calls, and they use all these excuses. But it's amazing how when things happen in their life, they still go to a job that they can't stand, with a boss that they don't like, with employees that they'd rather just get away from to earn a paycheck that doesn't even help them live a comfortable life. It's amazing how that all works out. But yet when things happen here, it's just kind of like we put the business on the shelf and, oh, we'll deal with it, and when it's done, we'll bring it back. Listen, if you are waiting for the perfect time to build your business, you're going to be waiting for a long, long time, my friends, because the perfect time to build the business is right now. No matter what's going on, no matter what you're dealing with, now is the perfect time to build the business. You've got to stop making excuses for why you can't, why you won't, why you shouldn't. You've got to let that stuff go. Let me tell you something. Any of the moms on this phone know there is no perfect time to have a child, right? You just have a child and you just kind of roll with it as you go along, right? I mean, we all sometimes try to make everything perfect for our kid to come, but listen, once that baby's here, it's like our life is turned upside down. There's no perfection there. We figure it out as we go along. And now is the perfect time to build a business. And I want you to get that in your mind. Now is the perfect time. No matter what you're dealing with, no matter what you're going through, we're all going through stuff. We're all dealing with stuff. If some of you knew some of the stuff that I've been dealing with over the last 2 weeks and know that I'm still getting on these calls, some of you would be going, wow, that's amazing. No, it's that my drive and desire to win and change people's lives are greater than the circumstances I'm in and bigger than the excuses I sometimes feel like making. So if we're going to create and build explosive momentum, the first thing that we've got to do is we've got to stop making excuses and start creating reasons to do what we need to do. Okay, that's number one. Number two is we've got to get over the no's. You know, people get so flustered with no's. Their whole demeanor changes. They get depressed, they get discouraged, they get, frustrated when they hear no's. Well, I'm just going to tell you the truth. Get used to it, okay? Just get used to it. This is a business where you are going to hear more no's than you ever will hear yeses. In fact, I believe the road to VP and beyond is paved with no's. We know that the leaders on this call that have reached the top level of the company, and ENVP, they have just heard a lot more no's than everybody else has. And we get so flustered with that. It's amazing that when we were a kid, that's all we heard. Nope, can't go to your friend's house. Nope, can't eat that. No, don't touch that stove. No, you can't go here. No, you can't listen to that. That's all we heard when we were a kid. You think that we'd be immune to the word no. But we come into a business like this, and we hear somebody say no, and our whole world falls apart. So we've got to get over the no's, and you have to understand that no's are what leads you to the yeses, and that you have to just go through them and stop getting so emotionally connected to everyone that says no. Okay, when I was building my business, and we were in financial services, I had so many no's, I could have wrote a book. But you know what? The great thing is I only needed a few good yeses for me to explode my business. And that's all you need to create and build momentum, is you just need a few good yeses to get your business moving. But in order to find those few yeses, you're going to have to get through the no's. And see, so many times, because of how it makes us feel, what do? We start making excuses not to do the things we need to do because we're afraid that we may get a no. But see, that's the wrong mindset to have. The mindset is turn getting no's into a game. I used to turn it into a game in my mind. When people would say no or I'm not interested, I wouldn't say this to them personally, but in my mind I'd say, thank you very much. Next. What? No, you're not interested? Thank you. Next. What? What's wrong with you? Next. And in my mind, I just kept playing the next game. Next, until I finally, boom, hit the jackpot and found somebody that said, yes, I'd love to sit down and hear about your business. Yes, I'd love to use your products. And it's so incredible that the moment somebody says yes, you immediately forget all the no's that came before that. Yet before you get the yes, you're wallowing in the no's, you're getting all upset, you're beating yourself up, what's wrong with me, everybody tells me no. But the moment you get a yes, boom, all those no's are forgotten. So if we're going to create and build momentum this last quarter of the year into the new year that's coming, the second thing we have to do is we have to get over the no's and realize that that's just part of the game. It's part of what we do to get to the yeses. And the more we turn it into a game, the easier it will be to actually go through the process. And just also as a footnote, understand that, don't take no personally. So many people take it personally, like it's a personal attack against you. Listen, it's not a personal attack. No means I'm not interested right now. I don't really understand everything. I mean, it's not a personal attack. Somebody that says no today might have their life change and say yes 6 months from now. That's where the art of follow-up comes in. So don't take no personally. But if we're going to build and create momentum, we definitely got to get over those no's. That's number 2. Number 3 is you got to build your activity. You guys, listen to me. This is an activity-driven business. And it's not you sitting around managing the activity of everybody on your team. Okay? This is about managing your own personal activity. Because the only thing that you have total 100% control over in this business is your own personal activity. You cannot control the activity of people on your team. You could sit there and kumbaya with them for 3 weeks, and they'll still not do anything. So you have got to build your own personal activity. What are you doing every day, activity-wise, to move your personal business forward? I used to create what I called a daily activity goal for me, and I taught this to my team. And that daily activity goal was exactly what it meant. What was the activity goal that I was shooting for that day so that I could move my business forward? For me, my activity goal every day was talking to 3 new people a day about sitting down and taking a look at our business. 3 people a day, because I knew that if I was going to ever build momentum, I had to start talking to at least 40 new faces a month. And if I wasn't talking to 40 new faces a month, then I wasn't going to really create that momentum. So my activity goal was to go out and as I was going about doing my life, doing my things, just meet people, chat with them. How you doing? Hey, how's this? Whatever. Starting conversations with people. But my intention was to try and talk to a few people a day about taking a look at what we were doing. Now, did I hit it every day? I'd love to say I did, but I'd be lying if I did. I didn't hit it every single day. But you know what? I was intentional about it. And I went out every day with an activity goal because I knew that if I could build my activity, then that would lead to number 4, which is building booking your calendar. See, we have to build our activity so we can book our calendar, because that's the bottom line. I hear people complain all the time about what's going on in their business and, Mary this and Bob this and my team this and all this stuff I hear. And one of the questions that I always ask people, what does your calendar look like? And then I hear this dead silence. Like, did you hang up? What does your calendar look like? Because you've got to have your own personal calendar booked. And so your goal to create and build explosive momentum is you want to build your own personal activity so that you can in turn book your own personal calendar. I like to call that leading by example. So many times we sit and we manage our team. We micromanage our team. And you know what? That's not going to make things happen. When I was building my own business, let me tell you when I got my team to move. And this is the honest to God's truth. I got my team to move when I moved. When I was out there doing what needed to be done, leading from the front, My team somehow followed. So I always say this, if you're going to build and create momentum, then you have to lead from the front and stop managing from behind. Come on, somebody. Somebody needs to hear that right now, whether you like it or not, because that's the truth of the business. You got to build, you got to lead from the front, stop managing from behind. And the way you've got to do that is you got to build your personal, you got to build up your activity every day, which then in turn will help you book your calendar. And you know, and I hear people all the time frustrated with people canceling and rescheduling. And I laugh when I hear that, not because I'm laughing at them, because I remember how I felt when it happened to me. And this is the way I see people sometimes work. I mean, this is really, truly how I see some people work. You know, they'll start off their week and they'll get a launch set up on Friday. And they are so excited that they got a launch set up on Friday. So they think that now their week is booked. I got a launch on Friday. We are going to do a great event. We're going to have a ton of people. And so guess what they end up doing? What they end up doing is they just kind of coast through Tuesday. They kind of just do a few little things on Wednesday. Wednesday comes around. They're like, oh, man, only 2 more days till my big launch with my new consultant. I'm so excited. And then Thursday comes around. Man, I can't even sleep. This is so great. I've waited the whole week for this event. And then Friday comes along and you wake up, man, you are just excited. You got a spring in your step. I'm going to have this great launch tonight. I can't wait. And then 3 hours before the launch, Betty calls you and has to reschedule the event. And now your whole week, your whole world has been shattered because you put all your energy into that one appointment that you knew was going to happen, and it didn't happen. See, that's why you've got to build up your activity and book your calendar. And let me tell you something that my upline taught me that was extremely valuable to me. And this is what he said to me. He said, Jerry, you're 50% of the appointments that you book are going to either cancel or reschedule. So always book more than what you need. And that's not negative. That's the reality of the business. Appointments are going to cancel. Things are going to reschedule. That's just how it works. And so his thought process to me was this. He said, listen, if you want to be on 2 appointments a week, then make sure you have 4 of them booked. Because there's a 50% chance that 2 of them are going to cancel and reschedule. Maybe there'll be 3 of them. But he always said have 50% more than you need. So if you want 2 booked, have 4 set up. If you want to be on 3 appointments during the week, have 6 of them set up. So you have room for those that cancel or reschedule. And I love when people always say, well, Jerry, I mean, what would happen if I set up 4 appointments and they all stuck? Oh, boo-hoo. What a horrific problem. All your appointments capped. When is the last time that ever happened to you? And if it did happen to you, then we'll work around it. What a great problem to have. Isn't it better to be in a place where you have more appointments than you know how to get on than you being in a place where you don't have enough appointments to get on? So don't worry about that. Listen, in the 18 years that I built my business, I never, not 1 week in my entire 18-year career, did I have every appointment that I set stick. It never happened. There was always someone who canceled, always someone who rescheduled, always someone who forgot. Always happens. But the more you build your activity and the more you book your calendar, you're going to start working into creating that momentum that you really want to create. Okay? Number 5. You got to stay positive in the midst of challenges. You know, we're going to have things happen in this business. People are going to quit. People aren't going to buy. People won't show up. Parties are going to cancel. A party that you had 20 people say they're going to be there, 2's going to show up. But here's the thing. What happens to you is not what creates your problems. How you respond to what happens to you is what creates your problems. So our goal is you've got to work on your mindset on staying positive in the midst of your challenges. Is it an easy thing to do? Absolutely not. But it is a choice. See, we have a choice. See, I had a situation in my office one day, and this happened within a few days of each other. One of the agents in my office came in, and one of their top superstars on their team told them that they couldn't do the business anymore. They had some family challenges, and they just had to quit. So this person came in, defeated, discouraged, deflated, depressed. I mean, looked like they lost their family. And as I was talking to him, the tonality, the body language, he was sulking in his chair. His tonality was really low. He had a discouraged voice. He just told me that he wasn't going to be able to stick it out. He's got some family problems. And wow, I mean, I thought he was going to be the one. I put all my energy into him. And this guy just went out of my office, and he was like in La La Land for weeks. I mean, he didn't sponsor any. He was in La La Land. So, and then a few days later, another person in my office came in to my office, and they had the same thing happen. One of their best people ended up just saying, I'm just done. There wasn't even a logical reason. They just quit. But this person came in, and their whole body language was different. They looked happy. They were sitting up tall in the chair. They weren't slouched over like this other guy. And they told me what happened. And I said to her, you know what? I said, for someone who just lost who you thought was your best person, you seem to be pretty excited. And she says, well, you know what? She said, just because somebody gives up on their dreams isn't going to make me give up on mine. I'll just go find somebody else to fill that spot. And I thought, would you look at that? Within 3 days, the same thing happened to two of these people. The person on their team who they thought were the one quit. But one guy was depressed, discouraged, and it was the end of the world for him. Yet the other person was like, oh, well, I got to go find somebody else. See, the same thing happened to both of them. But it's how they responded to that made the difference. And this person with the positive attitude just went out and sponsored 2 more people in that week, and the other guy didn't sponsor someone for 2 months. See, it's all about staying positive in the midst of your challenges and recognizing the fact that you have the control of how you're going to think. You have the ability to choose, I'm going to be happy in the situation or I'm going to be miserable. You have the ability to choose, you know what, I'm going to encourage myself or I'm going to depress myself. You have that ability to choose those thoughts. You can choose what you focus to think on. And so if you're going to create momentum and build momentum for an explosive end of the year, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to happen that isn't going to always be fun. And you know what? How long you stay in that place is determined by what you focus on. Focus your mind on the positive side of things. It's not easy all the time. But it wasn't easy for this young lady to come in and say, well, you know what? I'll just go replace it with somebody else. I mean, I'm sure it bothered her, but she didn't let it take control of her like this other guy did who let it all take control of his mind. So you know what? You've got to stay positive. You've got to stop beating yourself up. And you've got to just, like I said on my Tuesday Truth, you just got to do what I used to tell my team. Get over it and get on with it. Just get up, dust yourself off, and get on with it. And keep moving, keep building, keep staying positive in the midst of those challenges. Last thing, number 6. We're talking about creating and building explosive momentum. You've got to show up, and you've got to be coachable. Show up is a key to success in this profession. Show up. What does that mean? When you have team training calls, show up to those calls. When you have your DA, show up to the DA. when you have, GTC, is coming next year, show up to GTC. When your leaders have special events, show up. We've all heard the saying, you got to show up in order to go up. Okay, we've all heard that before. But I'm telling you right now, in the 23 years I've been in the profession of network marketing, I have never, ever, ever met anyone that created massive, explosive momentum and growth in their business that was constantly not showing up. I've never seen it. The two go hand in hand. Why is it important for us to show up? Just because we need someone to fill a seat? No, that's not why it's important to show up. It's important to show up because you need to have your batteries charged. You need to get charged up because we get beat down all the time. You've got to get yourself charged up. So you've got to show up to do that. You got to get on the calls and be inspired. You got to show up to the DA. And, well, Jerry, I don't have anybody coming to the DA. Well, who cares? Other people do. So let's not be selfish and say and make an excuse and say, well, I'm not going to our DA because I don't have anybody going. That's an excuse, and that's selfish. If you don't have anybody going, then your job is you show up anyway, number one, so that you can get charged up, and number two, then you can help your teammates who have guests there, get them onto the team. Because one day the roles are going to be reversed, and you're going to have somebody coming, and how would you like if everyone that didn't have a guest decided not to show up? Okay, you've got to show up anyway. I always jokingly tell people this, and it's not a joke, but it's just funny. Our church is an example. We used to do a Sunday morning service and a Wednesday night service. And it was like, there was a reason why that happened. Because, people would come on Sunday, man, they'd get filled up, they'd get fired up, man, they'd leave there just so excited like they can take on the world. And the moment they walk out of church, they walk into life. And then Sunday night and Monday and Tuesday, man, they're getting beat up, chewed up, spit out. Life's tearing them up. This is going on. All of a sudden, they're defeated. They're discouraged. By Wednesday morning, they're like crawling on the floor. Their energy's gone. And then they thought to themselves, well, wait a minute. There's a service tonight. Oh, I got to go. And they come to the Wednesday night service and they plug in. And then they get charged up. And they feel great. They take on the world and they leave Wednesday night. And then they get beat up on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And just when they can't take anymore, Sunday's here. Oh, I could go and get charged up again. And that's why that works so well. Because people need a place to plug in, to charge their batteries, and get going. So you got to show up if you want to win, and you got to be coachable. Listen, your VPs have earned my respect because I know what it takes to become a VP because I did in my own business. But they have built their business so that they can help you win. Now, here's the deal with network marketing, okay? If you help enough people get the things that they want, then you in turn will get what you want. That's the way network marketing works. Nothing wrong with that. That's what Zig Ziglar said, the late Zig Ziglar said. It's an amazing thing. So here's the thing. Your VPs, their success is based on helping you be successful. So it is in none of their best interest to give you tools, to give you systems, to give you stuff to use that's going to help you fail. Hey, you know what? I'm going to give Mary this system here. This system doesn't even work, but let's see what she does with it. Right? They have no interest in that because their interest is I've got to give them things that work, things that will help them because my success is tied into their success, as it will be for you when you're building your team. So you have got to be coachable and stop thinking to yourself, I can outthink and outsmart my VPs because I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You're not going to get very far doing that. You have to be coachable. You have to know that your VPs have set the pace for you, have set the tone for you. They've created the systems that work. And I love when people say to me, well, you know, I don't like this part of our system, and I don't like that. Let me ask you a question. Who said you're going to like everything about what it takes to be successful? I mean, where did you hear that? Because let me tell you, there's a lot of things that I've had to do to become successful that I didn't like at all. You know, my son comes home from school and he tells me that, you know, he doesn't like reading this book for class. I say, well, I don't care what you don't like. That's what you got to do. Suck it up and do it. Doesn't matter if you don't like it. You have to do it. That's just the way it is. And so I'm telling you guys the same thing. Nobody said you had to like everything you had to do to be successful. All you got to focus on is if the things that you don't like are going to help you become successful, then by all means, do them. Be coachable. Because here's the thing. If you're not coachable to your leaders, your team won't be coachable to you. And then you're going to get flustered and frustrated and all upset because you can't get your people to follow what you're teaching them. Yet when you look back, that's what you did to your upline. So be coachable. Listen to what they're teaching you. They have your best interest at heart. They want you to win. And they've created a system that will help you do that. But you've got to show up and you've got to be coachable if you want to really get your business moving and grooving. You know, corporate here in the States, I don't know if this is anywhere else, but here in the States, the corporate has a challenge for area managers attending an exclusive training in Irvine in January of next year. And what you have to do is you have to bonus as an area manager in October and November. You know, hit your 20,000 and your 10 PCs or preferred clients with a $150 order. You have to bonus in October and November. And see, if you're an area manager and you focus on doing that, that momentum will then roll you into the beginning of the AIT trip. And the AIT trip, which will come out December 1st and usually gives you double volume, man, you'll have such momentum from that. You're going to start plugging away at that trip, and guess what? Before the year is over, you're going to be in qualification for RVP. There might be some of you who might actually become an RVP. But see, that's how you create that momentum. See, the company, why does the company put out those kind of challenges? Because they want to help people create momentum. They understand that momentum in the business is how they grow the business. And so that's why they throw out incentives like the area manager challenge, or that's why they throw out the AIT trips, because they understand that that is going to create momentum for people that are consistent. And so let's just go back and review this, because I want you guys to get off this call fired up and excited to go out there and tear up the last 90 days of this year and make it the best that you can. So we're talking about creating and building explosive momentum, things that we need to do and things that we have to stop doing to make it happen. Number one, we got to stop making excuses. Number two, we've got to get over the nose. Number three, we've got to build our personal activity. Number four, we've got to book our personal calendar. Number five, we've got to stay positive in the midst of our challenges. Number six, we've got to show up and be coachable. And number seven is you just have to believe that if it's possible for everyone else that's winning, then it is absolutely possible for you. You have to understand that. Every single one of you on this call has the potential inside of you for greatness. You were designed for greatness, programmed for failure by the world that we live in, but you were designed for greatness. And you have to walk off this call and believe in your heart that, man, you can do this, because there's too many pictures of success around you for you to believe otherwise. You can do this. It doesn't matter how long it's taken you. It doesn't matter how long you've been stuck at your promotion level. It doesn't matter whether you lost or gained a promotion level. None of that matters. All that matters is you have to believe that if it's possible for all these people, it is possible for me. But in order for it to happen, I've got to build and create momentum in my own business. And if you follow these 7 things that we talked about today, I believe that it will begin the process of starting you on the most explosive, incredible 90 days of your business career. Well, probably less than 90 days, probably like 78 days or something like that. But still, it'll be an explosion for you. But you've got to focus on these things. You can't just get off the call and say, wow, that was awesome, and then go back and do the same things. You've got to take these things. You've got to work on them. You've got to be diligent in them. Because I believe that some of you right now on this call are just one little call away, one little yes away from blowing up your business. And there is nothing more exciting in this business than when you've got massive momentum going on. So I want to encourage you to get after it, you guys. We have a whole 3 weeks left in this month. Go make things happen. Go create your future. Go create that momentum. And if you've got people on your team that don't want to follow that, then go find somebody else that does. Don't get frustrated and lose your focus because you got a bunch of people that don't want to do it. Go find the ones who do. And I promise you when you do, man, it is going to be the most beautiful thing when you have built that momentum and can keep it going by teaching your team to do the same thing that you did to create that. So I want to once again congratulate each and every single one of you for earning the call this month. You guys are champions. That's what it's all about. I hope that you will leave this call encouraged, inspired, fired up, pumped up, saying, my gosh, when is the next brick call? Well, the next brick call will be on Wednesday, November 16th. Wednesday, November 16th. For those in Australia, it will be the 17th. Okay, but if you want to be on our brick call in November and hear, messages like this, get after it, you guys. Get after it. Do your brick. Go beyond. If you're a district, bonus is a district. If you're an area, bonus is an area. If you're a VP, bonus is a VP, and build to nation. Let's go create explosive momentum for the last 70-some days of this year. I love and appreciate each and every one of you, and I look forward to hearing many of you back on our brick call in November. God bless you. Kick some butt. Talk to you later, guys.